Hey everyone and welcome. If you've just come out of the February 13th SSC MTS exam, or maybe you're getting ready for the next one, you are in exactly the right place. We're not just going to look back at the questions that were asked. No, we're going to use them to build a really powerful, forward-looking guide to help you absolutely conquer this exam. Okay, so here's our game plan for cracking this thing. First, we'll treat that February 13th exam like our blueprint. Then we're going to decode what's new in art and culture and science. We'll also check out the expanding world of authors and a pretty wild twist in current affairs. And then we'll wrap it all up into your ultimate revision checklist. Let's dive in. So what's the big idea here? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. See, anyone can just list the questions that showed up, but we're going deeper. We're on the hunt for the patterns, the logic, and the strategy that's hidden inside those questions to give you a real, tangible advantage. This is really the core question we're tackling today. You know, the people who set these exams, they leave clues in every single paper about what they're focusing on and the kinds of questions they like to ask. By analyzing these clues from both shifts on February 13th, we can actually start to predict and prepare for what's just around the corner. First up, art and culture. This has always been a huge topic. We know that. But the February 13th exam showed us a really crucial shift in thinking. It's not enough anymore to just know the names of monuments or festivals. The exam is now rewarding the people who know the nitty-gritty details. Take this question, for example. It's a classic topic, right? India Gate. But look at the twist. They're not asking who built it or when it was built. They want a number, a very, very specific detail. And there it is, 42 meters. This is a huge signal. It tells us that for major monuments, from the Qutb Minar to India Gate, you now need to know specific stats like the height. It's all about showing a deeper level of knowledge. And here's another one that follows that exact same pattern of being super specific. It's not just asking about a festival, it's connecting it directly to the traditional Hindu calendar. The answer, of course, is Holi. But you see what's happening here? This proves that your preparation needs to cover not just what the festivals are, but when they happen, according to the traditional calendar. It's another layer of detail that the exam is now looking for. So what's the bottom line here? It's that your art and culture revision needs to get way more granular. You got to know the heights of famous monuments, you need to connect major festivals to their months in the Hindu calendar, and you should dive deep into the specifics of regional art forms. Trust me, that's where the marks are hiding. Okay, let's switch gears and move on to science. Now, our analysis of the February 13th exam shows an incredibly focused approach here. If you're short on time, listen up, because the exam is basically telling you exactly where to put your energy, the human body and the periodic table. Let's start with chemistry. This question popped up, and it points directly to the history and the structure of the periodic table. This isn't just some random chemistry fact, it's a core concept. The answer is germanium. Mendeleev was brilliant. He predicted its properties and called it Eka-Silicon before it was even discovered. So this question isn't just trivia. It's a signal that having a deep understanding of the periodic table's history and structure is absolutely essential. Now this right here, this is the core strategy, basically boiled down from our analysis. For biology, the questions are consistently circling around the human body, its organs, its systems, its functions. And for chemistry, it all comes back to the periodic table. This is your high-impact, high-yield revision plan for science. All right, let's talk about authors and autobiographies. And guess what? We're seeing the exact same pattern here. The exam is demanding a broader knowledge base. It's signaling that the scope of this topic is widening way beyond the usual suspects. A question just like this one appeared. It's focused on a recent book by a very well-known public figure who isn't primarily known as a sports person. And the author is Twinkle, Khanna. Now, this is a key piece of evidence. For the longest time, the focus was so heavily on autobiographies of sports stars, that is clearly changing now. And this just lays out the new strategy perfectly. Yes, autobiographies are still super important, but you've got to cast a wider net. Start thinking about Bollywood personalities, prominent politicians, and even historical freedom fighters. And on top of that, keep an eye on recent popular books by major authors. The scope has gotten much bigger. Okay, now for what was maybe the biggest surprise, and honestly the most important revelation from the February 13th exam, the strange case of current affairs. It seems like the very definition of current has changed. You'd normally expect current affairs questions to cover what, the last 6 to 12 months? But the February 13th exam threw a massive curveball by asking about events happening in 2025. And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a really bold move by the examiners, and it's designed to test candidates who aren't just looking backward, but who are also paying close attention to what's already scheduled to happen in the near future. And these are the actual questions that came up. They asked about the chief guest for an event in March 2025 and the locations for games held in early 2025. The key takeaway here is huge. Your current affairs prep has to be forward-looking now. You need to be aware of major upcoming national and international events. All right, we've broken down all the key patterns and the strategic shifts. Now, let's pull everything together into one final actionable checklist. This is your game plan, built on the hard evidence from the February 13th exam. So, here it is. This is your blueprint. Step 1, master the specific details of monuments. Step 2, link those festivals to their traditional months. Step 3, double down on the human body and the periodic table in your science revision. 4, broaden your study of books to include figures from politics and Bollywood. 5, start tracking major future events. And finally, step 6, don't forget those evergreen topics, like key historical events and India's firsts. This is your path forward. So, we've laid out the patterns, and we've laid out the plan. The exam has pretty much shown its hand. The only question left is the one on your screen. Based on all this evidence, how are you going to refine your preparation to guarantee success? The blueprint is yours. Now it's time to build.